Hi, this is Suzie Cheel, and today I'm talking with Noah St. John, the author of the book of Afformations, Discovering the Missing Piece to Abundant Health, Wealth, Love and Happiness, something that we all desire more of in our life. Welcome, Noah.
Thank you very much, Suzie. Great to be here with you today.
Oh, it's delightful to meet you. And I'm excited to be talking about your book and about the Afformations as well. So it's interesting that you basically formed this word, Afformations, after discovering that affirmations, like many of others of us have, wasn't working for you. That's correct?
Well, you're right. That's what happened with me, Suzie, is I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. So all around me, I saw lots of wealth and abundance, but my family was dirt poor. We lived at the bottom of this dirt road in a drafty, unfinished home. So I grew up in a lot of scarcity and poverty, but I saw lots of abundance around me. And so from a young age, I wanted to experience that abundance or wealth, success, whatever you want to call it. So I went to the library and just started studying books on self-help and personal growth. And in every one of these books, they told us to use these positive statements. If we want to have a different life, if we want to have better results, we have to first change our thoughts, which is, of course, exactly right. And so they said to use these positive statements like, I am happy, I am rich, I am wealthy, I am good enough. Well, what happened to me was that after about 20 years of using these positive statements and doing other things, I found myself as a 30-year-old college student. I was broke and divorced, and I was depressed and unhappy. I had less than $800 to my name, and all of my worldly possessions were in this dorm room it was so small that if you stood in the middle of the room and put your arms out to both sides, you could touch the walls on both sides. That's how big it was. And so clearly there was something wrong here. And I remember it was April 1997. I was looking around my little teeny dorm room, and out on the walls were all these positive statements that I've written. I am happy, I am rich, because that's what the books told me to do. But I looked around and I said, I don't believe any of these things. And not only that, my life doesn't look like that at all. So what's wrong? What's missing? Well, did you ever get those ideas in the shower? You know, you're just standing in the shower and you're thinking about whatever, and you just get those aha moments.
I get them at the beach, actually.
Yeah, at the beach, exactly. That's another great place. So that's what happened to me, and I was in the shower thinking about all this when I realized that the human mind, when we look at what human belief is, it's really thought. But what is a thought? Human thought is the process of asking and searching for answers to questions. For example, if I were to ask you, why is the sky blue? Your brain automatically starts to search for the answer, right? You can't even help it. It does it without your own volition. So I said, wait a second. If the human mind is automatically searching for answers to questions, why are we going around making statements that we don't believe? Why don't we just cut out the middleman? And then I said, well, what would that look like? Well, if you've got the statement or affirmation, for example, if we were to say, I am rich, right? That's a classic affirmation. I am rich. Right. And so for the average person, if you say, I am rich, what does your brain say? Yeah, right.
Yeah, where is it? How come it's not showing up in my life now? Yeah.
It's what I call the yeah, right response.
Yeah.
You don't see it. You don't believe it. So you're trying to convince your brain of something you don't believe. So I said, wait a second, what if instead of making statements that most of us don't believe, what if we flipped the whole thing on its head and started asking empowering questions? Because then the human brain has to automatically start to search for the answer, and using the law of sowing and reaping, as you sow, so shall you reap, right? But what are we sowing? We're sowing seeds of thought. But what are most people doing? Most people are sowing lousy thought seeds. Why am I so broke? Why am I so fat? Why can't I make any more money? Why does nobody love me? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I grow my business? Why is there more month left at the end of the money? Right? You're asking lousy questions, and what do you get?
Lousy answers.
Right. And that means a lousy life. So as I was standing there in the shower, April 1997, I had all these thoughts, and I said, holy cow, I think I just invented something. So I literally jumped out of the shower, ran to my computer, and I started writing everything down. And I realized I had to give this new invention, discovery, a name. And that's how I created the word, the teaching of Afformations, which is Afformation. Afformations, not affirmations, but Afformations. So the word affirmations, the one that we're all used to, comes from the Latin word firmare, which means to make firm. Now, the word affirmations that I invented, and by the way, it's perfectly legitimate to invent a new word. When you have a new way of looking at the universe or a new technology, we often need a new word like Skype and webcam and internet, software. These are all very new words in terms of human history. They've only been around a very, very short time, right? But of course, now we use them every day. But it's a new technology. Well, Afformations, what I'm sharing with you and what I share in my book, is a new technology of the mind. See? So Afformations comes from the Latin word formare, which means to form or give shape to. So what I often ask my coaching clients and mastermind students and seminar audiences, I ask them, what if you're making something firm, but it's in the wrong form? That's called forming a life you didn't want.
I like that. Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
And so why am I so broke? Why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? People don't know they're doing this. They're not doing it on purpose, but they're unconsciously, unwittingly forming very disempowering thought seeds, planting those seeds, and then that's their lives. So now with Afformations, for the first time in human history, we can change the questions we're asking, change the questions, change your beliefs, and change your life.
Well, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's exciting.
It's very
amazing.
exciting.
And read the book, and we were just talking about this earlier. When you read the book, there are over 24 real life case studies of people who have doubled their income in less than a year, people who found the love of their lives after they've given up on relationships, people who quit smoking after 20 years, trying to quit for 20 years and being unable to, and then quitting in a matter of weeks using Afformations, people who've lost over 100 pounds. I mean, the stories go on and on and on, and it's all because they learned how to change their questions, change their beliefs, take new actions, and their lives changed as a result.
That's amazing. One of the things I've started to read your book. So I was looking at the beginning of the book when you talk about how you have this sort of epiphany in the shower. I'm very curious as to what was that first question you wrote down?
The very first affirmation that I ever wrote, and you could argue the first affirmation ever written, was, why am I enough? Because when I looked at all of those things, those statements that I had on the wall, I am rich, I'm happy, I am good enough, I realized that when you boil it down, we humans believe that we're not enough. That's the number one belief that is holding most of humanity back. I'm not good enough.
Absolutely.
Right? And you can make that in any different form. I'm too old. I've made too many mistakes. It's too late for me. Whatever, or I'm too fat, or I don't have enough money, or I'm not handsome enough, or good looking enough, or what, you see what I mean? It all boils down to, I'm not enough.
That's right.
So my first thing that I realized I had to change in me was I had to somehow believe that I am enough, even though I was living in this teeny little dorm room, had no money, no girlfriend, no nothing, but I had to, the reason I think now looking back that was the case was because I didn't think I was good enough. And so, again, that's how most of humanity feels, really. And so when I boiled that down, I said, the number one thing we've got to get, yes, I want more money and I want to have a girlfriend and I want all these things. But at the very bottom line is I must believe somehow that I'm enough. So it was, why am I enough? Now, what's amazing is now, of course, I've made a lot of money. I've got a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful home here in the Midwest. And, my life has become a dream life, really. But it's because I've been able to help people literally understand what's stopping them from what's holding them back from the success they're perfectly capable of, get out of their own way. And that's one of the reasons that, my clients and I have been able to add over $50 million just in the last few years in new revenues. And, it's not just about the money, though. It's about having that life and believing and knowing that you are enough.
And that's one of the things about not being enough. The clients and people that I work with, because I work very much with self-love, because the message that I got then of delivering I'm not enough was, well, Suzie, your message is about love. And so many other people have that thing. They might think they want more money, whatever else, but until we get down to believing that we are enough and knowing the question that you get people to ask, your 11-letter question, why am I alive? Because when we find out that why we believe that we are enough, we also find out usually why we're here and why we're here to make a difference.
You're exactly right. And that's one of the things that I also teach, which I call find your because. Find the reason that you are here. And that's, see, so many people, for example, business owners, and entrepreneurs who are heart-centered entrepreneurs have a lot of stuckness, a lot of what I call head trash about money, making money. And they feel guilty about making money, or they're stuck with money, and whatever it might be, because look, there's a lot of mostly negative programming out there about money. There's what I often say to my clients is there's not a single positive word in the English language to describe somebody who likes money. All the words we have is miser and greedy and selfish, right? Oh, who wants to be those things? So there's nothing that we can shoot for to say I want to be that. But at the end of the day, we all have a relationship with money. So one of the things that I work with my clients on all the time is healing your relationship with money. It's like having a relationship with a person. If you're always talking bad about that person, do you think they're going to want to be around you?
That's right.
Of course not.
And they say you have to make money your friend, and you have to look at the good that one does with the money. Right. And if we look at, I always believe that, the more money we have, the bigger difference we can make in the world. And if more people attract and more abundance into the life, then they create what I call those ripples of change. And we do it, one step at a time. Just you and I talking, I'm learning about a new technique that I've seen floating around the web, but I've never shown any interest in, because somebody sent me an email saying, would I interview you? So it's interesting the way that works. And when you look at the process of Afformations, I gather that this is what you've done is create a simple process. And it's not something that people have to devote hours a day. It's something that can be done quite simply by, you have 4 steps that people go through. Is that correct?
Absolutely. What I often say, Suzie, about Afformations is you can literally change your life in less than 5 minutes a day. And I was actually just talking with one of my coaching clients today, and they said the minute they started using Afformations, they felt an immediate shift in their body. They can just feel the shift when you start using empowering questions. Because remember, this is one of the things that I talk about in the book. I make a very strict point about this, is because you're already using Afformations anyway. Everybody watching this, everybody on planet Earth is already using Afformations. However, the 2 things is, number 1, they don't know they're doing it. And number 2, most people are using very disempowering questions, like what I shared a moment ago. Why am I so broke? Why am I so fat? Why can't I make any money? Those are just negative, disempowering questions. And so if you look at that word, disempowering, that is exactly, you are taking away your own power when you ask lousy questions. Again, nobody's doing this on purpose. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, wow, looks like a great day. I think I'll hold myself back from success today. Of course not.
That's very interesting, that thing where I love what I read about you. You said you talk about people holding themselves back from success, and you've called it success anorexia, and it causes us to starve ourselves of success. I thought that was quite fascinating when I read that.
Well, that was the other epiphany I had in 1997. 97 was my year for epiphanies, I guess. And that's what I've been teaching people for the last, since that time, 16 years at the time of this recording. But yeah, I mean, it really is. Success anorexia is the condition that causes these behaviors. The behaviors like self-sabotage, head trash, going down the road of life with one foot on the brake, literally, stopping yourself from the success you're capable of. Most of us are doing this to some degree, most human beings. I think we could all agree with that we're not really reaching our full potential or capacity. But why? Well, the answer is because of this condition that causes these behaviors. So the thing that bugged me about all the traditional success books that I read, while they were all, good, what I realized is that I knew back then that I was holding myself back from the success I was capable of, but the treatment program that was available was, okay, stop doing that. Okay, yeah, that's not helpful. I mean, it's like saying to someone who has anorexia, well, why don't you just eat? Well,
it's not
no,
that simple.
That doesn't help.
No, it's not that simple, is it?
And so, again, that's why I came up with the analogy epiphany, if you want, of that many of us, most of us, are starving ourselves of the success we're really capable of. Now, the other issue here is that most of the books and trainings in traditional success literature were written by what I call the naturals of success. In other words, they're not holding themselves back. So again, take someone who just, doesn't have a problem with food and then have them try to talk to an anorexic who's starving herself, and there's not going to be any communication there. It won't make any sense because the healthy person's just going to say, "What's your problem? Why don't you just eat? What's the matter with you?" I'm using that analogy because that we've been taught, or we've been given information from naturals who are what I call unconsciously competent at allowing themselves to succeed. In other words, they don't have their foot on the brake. So how could someone who never stopped themselves possibly teach us, which is most of humanity, how to stop stopping yourself? So that's why I took a guy like me, a guy who grew up poor, didn't have the tools, didn't have, the teachers, didn't have any of those things. I just had the library, and that's literally what I had. And then I had to figure it out. That's why it took 20 years. And I had those two epiphanies, and I went, oh my gosh. And quite frankly, that is one of the reasons why my clients enjoy these incredible results. Like one of the stories you'll read in the book is about Brandon, who came to us. He had spent over $30,000 on all these different programs. I mean, every self-help money-making program that out there, and he was still stuck. He was making about $1,500 a month, really not much money. And he went through the program, used affirmations, used my power habit system. Long story short, by the end of the year, he had increased his business and his revenues by over 560%. That means a 5 times increase in less than 1 year. He was named Agent of the Year. He was a salesman. And, everybody asked him, well, what did you do? He said, I just changed the questions in my brain.
Isn't it? So what you're saying, one of the things I did discover from scanning your site and things was I found your Success Clinic app on my mobile phone.
Yes.
So yeah, you've had an app made so people can carry this around as well. So you've provided people with very simple tools that empower themselves.
Absolutely. So along with the Book of Afformations, we have the mobile app. We also have something called Afformware, which is where you can record your own empowering affirmations, literally speak them into, your microphone right on your computer. And I mean, it's so simple. My mother can do this. That's how easy it is. So we've got just tons of tools that are simple. And we had one fellow, a guy named Robert from Chicago. He wrote to me, said, Noah, I've been listening to my Afformations audios for 3 weeks, and I just landed my first $1 million client. And he said, it would never have been possible without the change in the brain that you taught me. Well, so that was awesome.
And do you find that with this, I mean, we all know that, we have to shift our mindset. I actually talk about shifting out, and you talk about the heart set, those of us who come from that world of, living from our heart, employing your program, the Afformations. How quickly have you found that people notice a change?
The change is immediate and long term. So what happens is because you are used to asking yourself unconsciously very disempowering questions, why am I so broke? Why am I so dumb? Why can't I do anything right? It's just like a CD that's on autoplay, or your iTunes if you want, that's on autoplay. Yeah. And it's just, okay, negative disempowering questions pretty much since the beginning of time. So think about it this way. How many negative thoughts have you had about yourself in your lifetime?
Oh,
I mean,
billions?
A billion, cajillion, a quintillion. We couldn't even count that high, right?
No, I don't
For
think
most
so.
of us, that's the number. I mean, it's an insanely huge number because that's what we're taught to do. Yeah. So now we're introducing, for the first time for most people, very empowering questions. Why am I enough? Why am I good enough? Why am I so rich? Why can I do this? Why am I so healthy? So, for example, we had one lady in Michigan, and she was she was addicted to cigarettes. She was a cigarette smoker for 20 years. We had one of my clients actually taught her Afformations, just was sharing it with her, kind of like it took him about 5 minutes because, you know, he's just a big fan and he's a client. And he went back to see her, and in 3 weeks she had quit smoking. I mean, just 3 weeks later, after 20 years of trying to quit. So, I mean, that changed her brain instantly, and it was a long-term effect. We had another woman down in Florida who had been called obese since childhood. I mean, literally since she was a child, was called obese, right? Couldn't lose weight, tried every weight loss program on the market, and couldn't lose weight. A friend told her about Afformations. She got the book, started studying it. She lost 163 pounds.
Wow.
So she literally went from, you know, that much of overweight, lost 163 pounds. But here's the key to the story. She's kept it off for the last 3 years. She has not gained it back in over 3 years. In fact, now she just emailed me, she's down 179 pounds. This that's incredible.
This came just from using the Afformations.
Well, she also had to take action. So it's not, this isn't magic. See, I don't want it to, I'm not trying to hype this up or anything like that. It's not magic. This is science. Remember, you're already doing this. You're already, almost everybody is using very negative, disempowering Afformations without knowing it. But so now now that you know it, when you get the book of Afformations, you study and you learn how to do it. It takes 5 minutes. And then you go, oh, okay, I can do this. That's what immediately starts to happen. It's your same brain. See, it's the same brain you've always been using, but you have been using it mostly against yourself, stopping yourself, not on purpose, but it doesn't matter. See, the brain doesn't care what you think. You think the thought and it goes, okay. If you think you're a loser, it'll say, okay, I'm a loser. If you think you're a winner, say, okay, I'm a winner. You know, and it doesn't care what we put in. So that's the point. The brain, let's put it this way, the subconscious mind is a great servant, but a lousy master. And so we want to be the master of our brain.
Yeah, and that's the fourth. I call it the 4 A's that you use. The 4 A's of affirmation: to ask, to affirm, to accept, to take action.
Action, right? And, you got it.
And it's no different to anything else. We can dream, we can have our vision boards, we can do whatever else. But unless we actually put into action the steps that we need to take to reach our goals or our dreams, whatever our intentions, nothing happens.
Not on planet Earth, anyway. There may be some planet where you don't have to do something, but not the Earth, unfortunately.
No. So
I'd love to move to the planet where you can just sit there and think about money, and money falls in from the sky. That'd be awesome. But,
it'd be wonderful.
Gosh darn it, planet Earth, you have to do that in one thing called work.
Yeah, or your ideal partner just manifests in front of you, or whatever else. But
they just knock on your door, and there you go.
So what we're saying is, by using your system of affirmations, we can change our view. I think you talk about it being, you know, what our current, you call it a CPR, our current perceived reality. And we can change that to, I love the terminology, NDR, your new desired reality. So it's a new,
you got it.
So what this is a new way of basically getting the life that you really want, the life that you truly desire.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm the perfect example of that. To go from where I was living, you know, $800 to my name in that little teeny dorm room to, you know, now with my beautiful wife and, you know, pay cash for our Caribbean honeymoon and helping clients around the world. We have 178 countries so far of people that we've worked with and are using the system, over 250,000 people. And so, I mean, I'm pretty much, the point is, if somebody like me can do this and change their lives, anybody can do it.
No, I think that is a great place to stop and tell people the book of yours, the book of affirmation, is on a special launch at the moment.
That's right. If you go to afformationsbook.com, I will actually send you the first chapter of the book absolutely free. So it's Afformations, AFFORMATIONS, afformationsbook.com, and I'll send you the first chapter free. And then, you know, I hope you like it. And if you get a few copies, when you go to that afformationsbook.com page, there's a special page where you have bonuses when you buy several copies of the book, which you're going to want to buy multiple copies because you're going to want to share this with everybody. And there are thousands of dollars worth of free bonuses there. at afformationsbook.com.
Noah, it's been wonderful to meet you. I look forward to learning more for myself about affirmations and reading. If anybody wants to go to Noah's website, you'll find there are a lot more videos and a lot of other things that you can learn about affirmations and ways that you can learn to empower yourself to live what I call your heart's desire. So, thank you, Noah. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to meet you and to share this empowering tool and technique with my audience. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Suzie.